Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Validator here. So we got the weekly Sunday live stream. We'll kind of be covering a lot of the stuff that I've seen in Hex and in Pulse lately. For those that don't know, we're at a little bit of a dip compared to last week. So I kind of want to talk about some of the fundamentals on what people do and how sometimes the emotions of the market itself can drive their financial decisions, and how history has, treated Hex and these dumps in the past. So without further ado, let me do the intro. If anyone has any questions, please fire away. We're not going to make this too long of a stream, but I do want to address any of the questions and the comments that people have. Real quick before I do that intro, we got Dan Smith. He says, "Good evening. How's it going, Dan?" And then Bitfinesse, the legendary Bitfinesse. This guy is amazing. He's got a really cool story. By the effing dip. So yeah, I mean, I do the same thing. I'll get into that in just a minute here. Let me do the intro and I'll see everyone in 90 seconds.
Be sure to hit that subscribe button. Be sure to like, be sure to share, be sure to comment. Yeah. Say hey. Say hey. Say hey, boom. Say hey, yeah. Say hey, hey. Woo-hoo. Stake that hick, stake that hick. 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 Every time I look up, price went up. I go to the store, come back, price went up. No matter what I do, price is still going up. Hell yeah. Ching, ching, motherfucker. Ching, ching. I am the boat. Ching, ching, motherfucker. I just keep hitting jackpot after motherfucking jackpot. We still jackpot, bitch.
Thank you, Richard, for creating and founding the most amazing and disruptive financial technology cryptocurrency ever. Thank you, sir. And nice streams, Mr. Balliot Brand.
Cool. So yeah, once again, thanks everyone for being here. We'll get right into the chat and just see what how everyone's doing and what's going on first. Okay. So thanks, Bitfinesse, for that comment. John May says, "Never panic sell. If anything, panic buy. LOL." Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. It's something that happens a lot in markets, whether it's real estate or stocks or crypto. When people are just getting in, sometimes they can get in at the peak euphoria, and then there can be a little bit of consolidation, as we've seen recently. But just because it is consolidating and because people are taking some profits here and there, doesn't mean that it's doom and gloom and stuff like that. And it's usually those points of opportunity where the sentiment is so emotional that it ends up being the best return on investment that we've seen in the past when you do take advantage of those. So we'll go over what happened with the big payday dip. I talk about it a lot, that one of my very, very close friends that I know, they had sold the 20% of a penny big payday dip in Hex. And now they always regret that decision. Luckily, they still have a little bit of Hex staked, so they couldn't actually sell that. So that's actually another thing to consider too. If you're staked, it does save yourself from yourself, right? You should never end the stake early unless you understand all the penalties and ramifications that can come of that. So not only does staking kind of allow you to not focus on the price as much, but even when it's going down, you're still making that daily payout per T-share, or by based on how many shares you actually have. So Drockmeyer, I bought the dip twice. Yeah, and then another thing I want to cover too. So I'll get into Richard Hart's his recent tweets because they are relevant as always. But instead of say ETHEX.com or Uniswap or just some of these other things, you can go to matcha.xyz, or if you're not in the United States, you can go to oneinch.io and you can actually do limit orders. And I've heard some people saying that some of their problems with limit orders haven't actually filled. For me, I've never had that problem. Sometimes I find that I'll need to reset the account a couple times. when I'm interacting with, say, Matcha, but have never had the problem with that. And when you actually do a limit order, you're not paying any of the fees. It's free to do the limit order. The only thing it would cost a transaction fee to do is if it didn't fill and you had to cancel it. So AJ City Hex says, Brandon, man, what's up? You bought that dip, brother. Yeah, I did. And someone made I'm blanking on their name right now, but they made a pretty cool a dip meme of me and Richard Ferrari. So that was pretty cool. Rick Schmidt says, bought the dip. And the other thing I want to address as well. So, we see that Bitcoin has been pumping up recently. And I think some of it maybe is due to that ETF news that's coming out. But for someone that's been in crypto over 4 years and has seen a lot of news events, not only in Bitcoin, but in other things, it was I think it was 2017, the CME launch that had caused the absolute top on that day. Richard had called that. And then, it's seeming, in my opinion, it's seeming like this ETF news might be a similar scenario, a repeat of the history where it might be that buy the rumor that we've seen already and then a sell the news type of event. So you might have some people that are kind of trading and trying to speculate and maybe scoop up more hex via, trading the Bitcoin. But sometimes that might be what's going on as well within the market. Welcome home, amigo. Evening, bought the 27 cent and not worried. Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, the other thing that I guess we can just get into it right now, but the other thing people kind of consider is instead of looking at like the 4 hour, the daily, even the weekly, sometimes you really do have to zoom out another time frame to even like the monthly and just see where we are relative to where we've gone. And nothing seems really incongruent, in my opinion, as far as where we're still heading. And at the end of the day, the actual dips themselves or the consolidations, they're an opportunity for someone to take profit, but they're also another opportunity for those that wanted to get in to actually get in and load up the bags. So we can take a look here. Once again, I'm not a chartist guy, but just from what I've seen on uniswap.hex.vision, this is just the monthly. So someone on Facebook was saying like, Richard, why is it dipping? Things like this. So as we see, this is the whole price chart of Hex, like the whole history. And so it came out December 2nd, 2019. We can see that came out on a pretty big dip. This was the big payday dip itself, which was a 67.31% dip for that month. And then right now we can see, we're consolidating a little bit as well. But it seems that, it kind of finds its floor, which might even be this green line right here, this 27 cent type deal. And then it kind of builds a new structure and kind of support for going back up. So kind of wanted to show that to some people because some people just look at the version 2 of Uniswap, and that I think that goes, it doesn't have the full price chart history. So something to consider there. Let me get back into the chat here and see how everyone's doing. Shout out Pulse Doge. Hexponential says, spent all my money on Hex and Pulse, building the bank account back up. Totally know what you mean. Wrenchy T, how's it going? Logan's Run says, finally caught you live, no dry powder, but onboarded 2 folks during the trip or during the dip. Awesome, man. What a great time to onboard someone. I tell you that. Okay, let's get back into the comment here. Haircut soon. Yeah, the girlfriend likes it. We'll I'm in no rush. I'll get it cut eventually. I'm not gonna let you guys dictate whether I get it cut or not. What's up, Identity? Okay, cool. Great intro. Yeah, so for people that don't know, obviously that wasn't me that made that. That was Joe Hexotic. So in all my future videos has the actual link to where that came from because it's important to give credit where it's due. Okay, so John May says, swapped my XRP Ripple for this dip, and hey, that's awesome. It's cool that you saw it as an opportunity, and there's nothing like Hex as far as the 100% uptime. Not to mention the duplicate people are going to get with the PulseChain. That's really, really exciting. I bought the dip too. Another 5,000 Hex is on board. Awesome, man. David Morales, how's it going? Says, I sure did at 30 cents, not the bottom. not the bottom, but happy. Totally. I mean, you can never really, buy the actual bottom and sell the actual top. And if you do, it's not something that you can generally repeat with success, right? So yeah, 30 cents is absolutely amazing, especially when you factor that we were just recently at 50 something cents. So you got it on a fire sale. I'm buying more, even if it doesn't dip. I'm buying all the way to $1. Totally. Me too. I mean, the cool thing about this is in crypto, we're really spoiled where Bitcoin went up 6.5 million X. Hex in under 2 years has gone up 10,000 X. But we really need to, once again, kind of be patient and look at the bigger picture and realize that, some people bought Bitcoin at 8 pennies, sold at $10, but then they weren't able to sell at the $65,000. And so if you kind of have a goal on maybe when to realize some profits or on a certain timely basis, then you might not fear everything going down at once, or you might be over leveraged if you are panicking and worrying. So just something to consider. I know some people, they might put not all their eggs into one basket, but if you're putting in, say, your rent money and things like that into things like Hex, I personally wouldn't recommend that. You want to have your stability first to where you can actually sleep and rest without stress, but also be able to, have your portfolio that's growing and that you continue to invest in. Buy and stake and you won't be panicking. Totally. Yeah, those shares, the actual cost of the shares in Hex form only goes up. So even when it is dipping, that's a great opportunity for those that are wanting more shares, T shares, things like this. It's a great opportunity for them to scoop some up and then maybe place the stake that they were wanting to do. Hexagon Greenhorn, hit that like, y'all. I'm panic buying for sure. It's something that's really cool. Someone like myself, someone like Dustin Hawks, Richard, obviously, but you look at some of these people that have been here since the beginning and that have had some, clear success with the gains. And once those people start panicking, then yeah, maybe it's time to panic. But when you see those people like Dustin, I know the other day mentioning that hey, what a great opportunity. I buy the dip. He's always accumulating. Then you really see that, okay, maybe some of the people that just got in a month ago, they might be unsure of what's going on. But when you kind of zoom out and look at what some of the other people have sat through, a lot bigger dips, then you realize, okay, this is kind of just part of the course, and it doesn't take very much longer for it to consolidate and have that big run up again. So how bad would you feel if you sold, say, I know someone that sold the 27 cent dip, and they sold at a 50% loss. And so when we do pass $1, $2, $10, then they might just be completely out of their bag and never get back in. Is Hex gonna crash? Crying face. Crash is kind of like a scary concept or a scary term. I mean, like I showed you earlier, everything has its pump ups and little consolidations. And right now it's just consolidating a little bit. And this is when bigger whales and bigger bags are actually accumulating. So for me, I like to do what the wealthy people are doing, not what the, panic sellers are doing type deal. Don't forget PHEX coming too. Yeah, that's really exciting. I know there was a lot of people that wanted to buy the dip that Richard mentioned and they couldn't because of the fees. But once again, that's why the limit orders are important to consider, because you don't actually have to pay the fees. I know I've also heard that people mentioned that some of their actual orders didn't get filled. So consider that as well. It's not like it's going to immediately fill like a market order would. Hex Turbo says, some people quickly forget how amazing Hex is when the price dips, but soon remembering again when the price starts pumping. It's true. One of the coworkers that I told about Hex before retiring told him about it at 50% of a penny to a penny. He didn't want to get in. It was too many steps for him. And then told him about it at 8 cents. Didn't want to get in. And then it was when I told him about Hex being at 52 cents, 50 cents, 45 cents, that he's like, how do I get in? So it's interesting that people's psychology works like that. If you're worried about the price, you're doing it wrong. Stake and chill. Totally agree. I bought more Hex on Matcha today. Nice. Hey, lovely people. How are we all doing? Doing great. Yeah, after this, I don't know how long the stream will be, but after this, I'll be doing a pre-recorded video with T Money, Tony Salazar, with freedomtv.info, and that'll be coming out in maybe a couple of days once they edit it. But it's going to be on the Seattle meetup and the Crypto Sparbu, crypto tour and Hex tour. So that'll be really cool. Stay tuned for that. Like I said, maybe in like 2 or 3 days once they edit it. Once we shoot the video, they'll be talking about that. The cool thing to do is buy now and brag about it later with your screenshot. Yeah. It's people say that, oh, you're lucky to get in under a penny. Oh, you're lucky to have gotten that 20% big payday dip. But in the actual moment, it's as Matty Allen talks about that, like in that actual moment, your emotions do kind of want to do the opposite. As far as the actual financial decision, the most opportunity is right there. But sometimes like your native instinct is like, I don't want to buy when it's on sale. I want to buy when it's higher. So it does kind of take a little bit of getting used to and just understanding how that actually works. That's why they say like buy the fear, sell the greed type of deal. Let's see. So I held an informal chat with some buddies and had 8 signups for Hex. Total invested about $15,000. The more the merrier. That's awesome, man. That's really cool. Congrats. We really do have a quite the network effect. Laid back Hex. Shout out to you. €5. Thank you. They say, Brand, can you tell Teresa Green to stop worrying? She thinks it's going to 0. Maybe I need to scroll up and see that person's comment. There's a few comments I haven't seen here. So Cookie Boys, how's it going? Let me see if I can see it. Magic Carpet Ride. Shout out to you guys. I know you guys changed the name there. I really like the name. What a cool phrase and terminology that Richard's talked about. That instead of worrying about this panic selling and this doom, well, what's the opposite of that? The opposite is price going up and having the world's top appreciating asset and 100% uptime and 3 times audits and no hacks and things like this. And you look at what Bitcoin's done with its 6.5 million X, and something like Hex has been a lot more secure throughout its whole history. So I know the way that Hex was designed was 10,000 X in under 2.5 years, but it's also designed to do what Bitcoin did, but at a faster rate. So if you go to the lookinthehex.com that Gerardo made, you can see how Ethereum is pacing to Bitcoin's 6.5 million X. And then you can see how Hex is pacing to the 6.5 million X. And let's see if we can actually look at that as well, since it's relevant. But it just goes to show you the actual different trajectory that Hex is currently on. And once again, we'll take a look at that in just a second here. I got it pulled up on their websites. Okay, 1 second. We'll look at it right now. Yeah, for those that don't know, Gerardo, he does have like a VIP section as well for people that are always interested to have more tools and some more information. I know that's something that he's sorry about that. I know that's something that he's constantly expanding and adding more tools and things of value to that as well. So consider that if you want to have some more information. So yeah, this is the Hex versus Bitcoin return on investment. You can see this was Bitcoin's 6.5 million X, and the actual chart itself in time is taking a lot longer than the trajectory that Hex is on. And so it's just bullish, and it goes to show you that the game theory and the way that Hex is designed is working. And it's cool to see something working as intended, because often we hear these promises of how something might work, and then once it actually launches, maybe it doesn't work the way that you thought it was going to, or that everyone else thought it was going to. So that was the one versus Bitcoin. If we go back here, we can see the one versus Ethereum, which did that 10,000x in 2.5 years. So once again, you can see the trajectory. Hex is just at it's an actual steeper slope and steeper curve. And to me, this is super bullish. And just like with things like Ethereum. You can see Ethereum's had its points of consolidation and a little bit of a downtrend before its, bigger uptrend. And Hex has done the same exact thing. This isn't something that's new to hexagons that have been around the block for a little while. And once again, it's one of those opportunities that doesn't really come around very often. But when it does, the people that did take advantage of that, they historically have done very, very well. Ahmad says, I bought Bitcoin at $65,000, Hex at 48 cents. I always buy the top, story of my life. Yeah, I mean, I understand. I definitely bought the top too in 2017 against Richard's call of the topping signals, things like that, and learned my lesson, right? And same thing with sending day one a lot of Ethereum, many Ethereum to the contract address that will never get back. Sometimes it's the expensive lessons in life or the painful lessons that can be the most beneficial. And so, instead of seeing it as like a negative, just as people say, it's not actually a realized gain or loss until you actually sell. So if you're in something that maybe just topped out, say as far as, say it's had like a previous top, well, it doesn't mean that it's not going to go back up again. So if you can kind of ride it out and be a little bit patient, then generally with things like Hex, it doesn't take very long, maybe a couple of weeks, maybe a month and a half for it to go back up and make new all-time highs. And then you'll see that it doesn't go back down to certain prices after a while. Bitfinesse says, I bought many Hex as I could below a penny. Then I bought as many Hex as I could below 10 cents. Now I'm buying as many Hex as I can below $1. Let's see. What if no one ever built a time machine? Yeah, that's a great point, Bitfinesse, and I totally agree. And Bitfinesse is like for those that don't know his story, he's like the epitome of someone that knows how to delay gratification. And I think it's really cool to see that there's a lot of people that, for the people that are Hex flexing, that's awesome. Shout out to you guys. That's great. But there's a handful of people that are just continuing to, grind, continuing to delay that gratification. And it's crazy how many folds, like not buying something that expensive can actually return in the future. Like say if you bought a Rolex right now for, I don't know, $20,000, $30,000. Well, maybe if you just held that off for another 3 months or 6 months, now you could buy like 2 or 3. So it's all relative. But at the end of the day, people are always going to take some profits and do that as well. What's up? Wish I had more cash on hand to buy more Hex. Dip doesn't bother me a bit. Totally agree. Yeah, the payout per T-share has been not increasing, but it's been staying at like a very steadily rate of around like 5.7. The other day it was at 6. And that's really the numbers that I personally focus on. What an opportunity. Start buying or start crying, you choose. Very true. When $1? I mean, I still think by at the end of the year, we'll easily achieve that. That's just my opinion. Once again, people think that, Hex is at 27 cents. It was just at 50 something, it can never go to $1 this year. And then you look into the liquidity pools and kind of how that works. And a lot of times we've seen those numbers happen much sooner than anyone else had ever thought. Okay, so we're still looking at some of these questions here. So David says, expected launch for Pulse. I don't know. I mean, personally, I still would like it to launch by the end of the year. It really all just depends on kind of the progress in the actual network itself. When it comes to the test net, that's when you want to iron out and find all of the bugs and the kinks in the system before you actually launch it to mainnet. It's much easier to fix in the test net versus the actual mainnet itself. Richard has also mentioned in his recent meetups that he wants to launch it. He doesn't want to wait very long. He wants to he could launch it without a bridge. He could launch it without a couple of these other things, the liquidity providing fork of pancake swap, things like that. He kind of wants to launch it rather sooner than later, kind of seems. but who knows how long that actually takes, because we saw with Hex, for those that don't know, it was maybe like 8 months or 9 months, something like that, that Richard had wanted Hex to launch earlier, but it didn't because it needed a little bit more time to be audited and, to be good for the mainnet launch. A nice Hex merch. Where can I buy? So I've never bought anything off of this website, but Motley and some friends have hexmerch.com. You can go to Etsy and then just type in like Hex or PulseChain. There's a few different vendors. The one that I bought this from was Crypto Styles USA. You can go to Amazon, same thing. Type in like Hex Crypto, maybe Pulse Crypto. Luke, I don't really know. I heard a little bit about this, but honestly, I didn't really look into it. Not sure what the heck's going on there. A Spike, yo, Hex and Pulse fam. I'm gonna try and get through a lot of these comments. I see the chat's kind of ramping up. So there's no fees with limit orders. Yeah. So if you go to matcha.xyz, or if you're not an American, you shouldn't even do it if you're an American with a VPN, because it's not good. But so yeah, if you're not an American, you can go to oneinch.io, or if you are an American, you can go to matcha.xyz. Those two you can both do limit orders on. And yeah, pretty much you're waiting for that order to be filled. So you're not actually the one that's paying the fee as you would with the market order. You're kind of just waiting for someone to hit that order. And once it fills, you don't pay any fees. But there also is a timer, and I've never had the timer actually expire because I set it to like 7 days, the longest you can do. But I don't know what happens when you say run out that timer. I don't know if it automatically cancels or if you actually have to pay a cancellation, fee, which would be an Ethereum transaction fee. Let's see. So Potato Gang TV, what an interesting name. I like it. Says, I've been in for a long time and I'm waiting for a bit more of a dip down to 22 cents to 19 cents, then ride it up yet again. I'm ready to jump deeper into Hex world and further the Quattrocinco lifestyle. Totally. That's awesome. I mean, hey, maybe you end up setting some limit orders or some kind of orders down there. If it does wick down there, I've seen a lot of people's orders fill when it happens. And generally it doesn't happen over a longer period of time. It usually happens very, very quickly. What's up, Nardo? Good to see you. Melby Tony. Yeah, can't do 1 inch as an American. Exactly like I was saying. So yeah, definitely don't go on that if you're an American. They just recently made that change. So good to definitely know. What's up, Crypto Panda? How's it going, man? Nice to see you and see everyone else in here. There's like 144 people. So I'm gonna try and scroll back up and see what comments I missed, because it did jump a little bit. So DJ Pollywood. Oh, hey, yeah, Mystic Pimp. He says, let's hop on a stream as soon as possible, my guy. Totally. I'll message you today after the video that I do with Freedom TV, and maybe we can get something going this week. Okay, so once again, I really don't know much when it comes to these wallets with 101 hex. I mean, I haven't really looked into that. So I know back in the day there was like a ZK Sync layer 2 airdrop for for hex. There was a huge airdrop, and maybe it was around the same amount. This kind of sounds like it might be similar, or maybe it happened recently. I don't know, but let's see. So it says, okay, a few things. I have a bag, just got some questions. All the wallets with 101 hex, once again, I don't know. What happens if hex got hacked? Can it be fixed? Is it unchangeable? So, I mean, really, they're like, hex is kind of like hack proof, right? Because when you have what it is, which is just a smart contract, not to mention it's locked and doesn't have any admin keys, and it's got 3 audits. There's like no way that I know that it could actually be hacked, even if Richard Hart had wanted to, or someone had tried to force him to, right? The wrench attack, he wouldn't be able to go back and make any changes, because once that's deployed and once it's launched, especially without the admin keys, it's immutable. So yeah, it's definitely immutable and unchangeable. But yeah, with the 101 hex question, I really don't know what's going in there. Okay, cool. So Nardo's in the chat. Alaska Fisherman says, can you clarify on hardware wallets that store hex? So yeah, Trezor, Ledger, they work with hex. It's just an ERC20 built on Ethereum. The Trezor and Ledger websites say they don't store hex on their wallets. Thanks. So yeah, they do. I know for a fact because I've got a Trezor, right? And it works just fine. So it might not say specifically with hex, but once again, hex is a smart contract built on Ethereum, and anything that's on Ethereum can work with the actual Trezor or the ledger itself. So let's see. So to get a copy when Pulse is live, can I have my ERC20 tokens on a ledger, or do I have to have it on MetaMask? Yeah, no, you can definitely. Once again, you actually have the keys, and you're actually holding your crypto when you have a ledger or a Trezor, and so it doesn't have to be on the MetaMask itself. What you will need though is to actually access the PulseChain network. Is usually people that have hardware wallets, myself included, use either a Trezor or a ledger to actually store the coins, but you can use MetaMask as like a front end to actually access the different network. So if you have it on a different wallet that can't switch across multiple networks, then that's something that you'll kind of have to look into. I think with Ledger, you can do something like Ledger Live and then still interact with MetaMask. So you'll kind of have to look into that a little bit more. Tell them, Bran, it doesn't matter when let's see, we got in only that you have the diamond hands to hold through a 10,000x. Yeah, exactly. To have that 10,000x, to have those mad gains, it doesn't just go straight up like people want. Same thing with the 6.5 million X. Richard never got in at a penny, right? He talks about that he mined 50 Bitcoin block rewards. He talks about that he bought the $30 top and then it went down to $2. But yeah, just because Bitcoin did that 6.5 million X doesn't mean that there wasn't severe dips. And we can actually get into that now because once again, it's relevant about Richard talking about the dips that Hex has done. This isn't something new. And generally what we see if history continues to repeat or rhyme, we see that it makes significant highs not too long after these dips. Okay, so let me scroll down just a little bit. Once again, 1 inch for users that are not in America. So yeah, Richard says, go look at the chart, see those dips highlighted. Weak hands, buying tops, and selling bottoms is a feature, not a bug. Once again, as I mentioned, it's the transfer of value from the impatient to the patient. So the person the other day in the Hex Telegram that sold at a 50% loss, now instead of holding through that kind of loss because they were so scared it might have been their first time, now when the Hex price makes a new all-time high, they're not going to be able to actually realize that or take any profits. In fact, they took a loss, as they said. But yeah, when we click here, we can see, and let's zoom in. Let's zoom in a bit here. So yeah, once again, this is Richard. It's kind of like super long-term trend line and long-term chart. As you can see, a 72% dip here, 58% dip, and 86.47. That was the actual big payday itself within 21 days, it looks like. And as I was also talking about earlier, you can see that some of these dips used to last a little bit longer than others, but generally we see that it's taking less and less time for those dips to get bought up and for it to consolidate and kind of start forming a new structure. So yeah, that was one thing Richard had talked about. Another comment that he had mentioned that it's is relative again. He says, I don't remember there being so much crying when the price dipped 67% 3 months ago. Then it went and made new highs. Is this last batch just more crybaby mode? Why more tears than normal? And then someone had mentioned Hex Whalebot. Go check them out. They said because more people into Hex, and then they've got this metric on their website, which is apphex.win/charts and or graphhex.rocks. And you can see the actual metric of people. There's been a lot more people coming in. And as I talked about earlier, people can tend to buy a top or buy a recent high and then get really scared when obviously it starts dipping. But it's nothing new. And a lot of us that have made those 10,000x gains or even more with staking have seen this happen very, very often. Amazing buying opportunity. Totally agree. Hit the likes. Yeah, hit the likes, dislikes, whatever you want. As long as it's engagement, that's all I really care about. Hey, Crypto King, how's it going? Sorry for the spelling. I've just bought my first hex last night and today. Awesome. That's super cool, Zosh. Welcome to the club, man. So Luke says, okay, a few things. I have a bag, just some questions. Okay, I already answered that. Let's see what kind of new comments we got here. I think all of this is just the pre-fork crab. Yeah, I mean, once again, even with the Bitcoin price pumping and things like that, some of the whales they're choosing to kind of trade that Bitcoin move, and maybe they're trying to think of that they can scoop up more hex if they do scare the market enough to actually sell for them to buy it back cheaper. So whales like to definitely play their games. I'm delaying gratification. That €5 was a hex flex. Awesome, man. Shout out to you. Thank you very much. What's a T-share? So, I mean, a T-share is just 1 trillion shares. Pretty much the way that it works is a T-share is not even something that you need to be focusing on. It's just the shares in general. So when you actually stake hex, you're taking your liquid hex today and you're exchanging that for shares, which remain for the amount of stake time that you choose, and based on your shares is how much actual interest that you earn. So a T-share, once again, 1 trillion shares, you earn 20% more shares for each year extra that you lock longer up until 3,641 days. Hey, Bran, I'm late. No worries. Hexdater, how's it going? Let's see. This person says, I do bought a lot of hex at 40 cents, but guess what? I do not shake at all. I loaded my bag the last 2 days at 28 and 26 cents. I wish I had more money yesterday. Totally. Yeah, that's a very smart way of thinking, right? Even if you did buy 50 cents or 40 cents, as you mentioned, you can actually have your cost average be lower if you do have more dry powder to accumulate those dips. So what a great way of actually, maximizing an opportunity instead of, crying about a better opportunity to scoop up cheap coins. Let's see. When are you going on a US tour? Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I've got a really busy life, and I like to spend time with the family and other people. So we'll see. I mean, I know I did the little Seattle meetup with those guys. I'll be there in Vegas in March, but we'll see. I don't really have any plans yet. Okay, cool. Yeah, your hex gets burned for your shares. Totally. Yeah, big boy. What's up, Brand? Gonna have to go back and rewatch. No worries. Yeah, Danny boy, I'd love to do that stream with you. I know we'll be getting that going soon. So really look forward to all of the future streams that we got coming up, because the Hexicans all have their own story, and it's awesome to hear people's perspectives, how they got where they're at today, and their journey throughout the whole thing. Because once again, just as the price chart is not ever straight up, neither are people's stories, right? They've got the ups and downs. So it's pretty cool to listen to. We're about to break 30. Awesome. Crypto Learner, how's it going? Bought more and staked it all. I don't really want to talk about these altcoins a bunch. Let's see. Hands to drop all their hex, please. Danny, yeah. So once again, we'll be doing a stream soon with Danny Boy. Looking forward to it. He says, I have 94 till stakes end, so I'll wait and pray for a double. 60 cent would be bonkers to end stake that. Crypto 7. Hexdater. This is what I like about Hex. It has people like Bran. Yeah, I mean, it's got a community that is nothing that I've ever been a part of. And community can really help you learn a lot and help you maybe understand things that you didn't know before. And what a strong team we have. As we talk about the being as strong as your weakest link, things like that. our weakest link is pretty strong. Who crystallizes losses? Biggest no-no and first rule of investing. I don't know what you mean by crystallize, but see, Joe O'Brien says, hey, BB, if I want to cash in a 500K stake, how do I cash in 350,000 and reinvest the rest back into PHEX, EHEX, and PulseChain? I mean, that's kind of a very personal question. I mean, if you want to cash in something, I personally wouldn't ever recommend doing a limit order, or sorry, I wouldn't ever recommend doing a market order sell, because you're obviously going to push the price down and it's not necessary. If I was in those shoes, I would be doing a matcha.xyz limit order. That way, once again, you're not pushing the price down, and also you're not paying any fees once it gets filled. But I would do a limit order for however much you want to sell. And then you say, so cash in 350,000, reinvest the rest back into PHEX, EHEX, and PulseChain. Yeah, I mean, that's all something you'd kind of have to consider yourself. No one knows when the actual snapshot of the hard fork block height is going to be. And so for me, I'm kind of just preparing for all of that now and would rather not wait for confirmation. I'd rather be kind of set and then let it happen and know that I already had my bags for that. So yeah, you'll kind of have to look into the PulseChain and some of the other things, because, you know, you're only going to be able to really get it once it launches, and otherwise you could sacrifice late, but even then you're paying a super high markup. And yeah, I don't really want to go into all of that, because nothing is ever like the perfect scenario. People ask me that, like at the Seattle meetup, they said, hey, I've got X amount of dollars, this amount of hex, how long should I stake for? And it's like, well, as long as you can actually, you know, hold it for, and can you actually, you know, not end that stake if it does a 10,000x, things like this. It's just personal decisions you might have to do a little bit more thinking on. People are freaking out about missing the final part of the bull run. Yeah, that's the way I see it. I see some people talking crap about Richard. Some people I had to block, Bitcoin maxis I had to block in my comment section, saying that saying that Richard was not very smart for calling a 10K bottom. And what we see is, if it does what it's done in the past, which is a 85% retracement of the whole, then if $65,000 is the top, then an 85% retracement is 9750. And Richard said it many times that, you know, if he sees it going that low and as far as his call, it would be similar to, say, like a hex dip or a big payday dip, where it's just a wick very, very quickly, and then it goes back up and has the price discovery once again. So we'll only see, in my opinion, that his thesis and that his estimation wasn't invalidated once we get past $65,000 in Bitcoin. And personally, just my opinion, I don't think that'll be happening. I think that this ETF news will be the sell the event, you know, buy the rumor, sell the news. So that's just what I think will be happening from what I've seen in the past. Obviously, nobody has a crystal ball, but it just seems so convenient and such a perfect time to kind of top out. Dips are in the game. It's not a bug, but it's a feature. It really is a feature. You know, if you kind of understand how everything works, then the people that just got in very quick and tried to trade it or make a quick buck, they might make those short-term decisions that reward the people that have those longer-term stakes or behaviors, and you're rewarding the people that are going to benefit the system the most. Got some dip. Epic timing as always. Yeah, shout out to Melby Tony. He's always posting price updates, and there's so many people in the actual comment section in the community that do so much work behind the scenes, or that people just don't even realize, that really makes you know, a huge contribution and is absolutely wonderful. So yeah, Prez says the 101s, the 101 hex wallets have never moved or sold hex either, so I don't know what the big deal is. Yeah, once again, I don't really know what's going on with that. Looks like Toby, shout out to you, man. He says, what's up? Hey, Bran. Yes, hey, Bran, buy the dip. Take a look at my chart on Twitter. At the bottom is in. Okay, we'll take a look at Toby's chart. Yeah, I know there's a lot of people, once again, a lot of people that have been around here for, you know, quite some time. And when you have people that have been around for a while that have seen these dips that kind of have these predictions and kind of have this sentiment, then I think that sentiment's a lot better to be listening to than, say, someone that just got in a week ago, a month ago. So is it the one from October 16th? Let me take a look. Okay, so yeah, let's share the screen here. Once again, thank you, Toby. Let's take a look here. So he says, if you can follow color coding and know how measured moves work for triangles and parallel channels, this should be self-explanatory. Yeah. No, I like the color coding too, Toby. That's he says zoomed out so you can see the two potential fractals / bar patterns that are interesting. Totally agree. Yeah, it's you got tangents only and some of the other guys. Yeah, I mean, what a great opportunity when people usually do think it's going to go lower. That can definitely be the times where it's bottoming out, and you'll see those candles go from red and dumping to kind of, chopping sideways and then green and going back up. So thank you, Toby, for that. He says, yeah, the magic carpet, that was epic. Totally. Yeah, totally. Sometimes it dips when you don't expect it the most. And, what a cool opportunity, if the snapshot for the block height hasn't happened yet, which how does anyone know? Then people that are buying now are not only getting that 2-for-1, but, you're getting a cheaper copy of something that's going to be on a better network in the future. Cool. So yeah, thanks again, Toby, for that. Everyone go check out his Twitter channel and go give him a follow. I like chips. I like dips. Buy the dips and stack more chips. Totally. Thanks, BB. I'm still waiting. It will be great. Teaching Bitcoiners delayed gratification when the decision gets pushed back again for that ETF. Well, totally. And like part of the nuance there too is, I mean, maybe there's more update that I haven't seen, but yeah, they had said like sometime next week, and it was kind of arbitrary or random, like of when that actual day might be. And it just seems convenient that it hasn't, gotten super close back to that 65,000. So once again, Richard's thesis will be invalidated if it does go past. Otherwise, I think the game's still on board. Jerry Oaksmith, yeah, shout out to you. I know him, Dave, and then another Mexican named Steve. We hung out in the Washington State area the other day, got some dinner, and that was pretty cool. So missing 45 viewers, help, support the channel. We were begging for this hex entry. We should not complain. It's true. Yeah, people beg for 1 penny hex or, X price of hex. And then when it happens there, then they panic and they don't actually make that decision. And once again, that's where a lot of people have made life-changing wealth, buying those actual dips and holding for a longer term than just that short-term volatility. So Tyler McDonald says, this is such a great opportunity for anyone who has intelligence and clarity and vision. I agree. Yeah, I mean, even though the price itself kind of fluctuates up and down, sometimes more volatile than the other, the actual shares themselves, they never get less expensive. They only get more expensive in the cost of hex. So that's also something to consider. Stake that hex and chill. Danny says, I'm still with Richard Hart, $10,000 Bitcoin call. Sorry, Bitcoiners, but you're not still making an all-time high yet. Totally. That's what I had said to the people that commented on my channel was, let's stop the crap talking until it actually happens. Do I take any supplements? So I take like a multivitamin. I used to take like my dad, he had recommended like they've got different multivitamins that have, like they've got like prenatal vitamins for like pregnant women that have like a lot of different, vitamins and things like that can kind of, nutrients that can kind of help you out. For me, I take this one called like Orange Triad, and it's just a huge multivitamin that you have to drink like a gallon of water with. So pretty much that, and then sometimes caffeine every now and then. make sure you emergency on stake so I can get paid. Yeah, it is an advanced feature. I saw someone that had emergency ended a stake, and there's a yellow and red banner that says, this is a advanced decision for, it's an advanced tool for advanced users. Don't click this unless you actually know what you're doing and kind of the ramifications of that. And some people think that they're going to get all of their realized interest if they do end it early. And those people really should be looking at the penalties, how it works, because especially if you have something that was before big payday, before November 19th, the actual penalty from the interest will significantly be higher than anything that was after the big payday. 40 Gwei right now. Yeah, the weekends they're always a good opportunity to do those end stakes, do those transactions. Especially in Hex 2, you've got a 2-week grace period. So it's not like you have to, just because the stake ended on that day, you're not going to get penalized until 2 weeks later. And then it's going to be 1% a week. But I see a lot of people that ended immediately. And then, you might be paying a higher fee if it's on a weekday. Hex number 3 on the chart and number 1 in our hearts. Totally. So let's see. Hash says, if you've done some analysis, what do you think Hex could go to? Well, I mean, the way that I see it is, it was designed to do the 10,000x in under 2.5 years. It already did that in under 2 years. It's designed to do what Bitcoin did, which was the 6.5 million x, right? So we've seen a max of 10,000x gains, and we're designed to do at least a 6.5 million x and then more. So, I mean, you kind of have to look at the numbers. The very bottom was like 4 zeros and then like 5, 6, 5, 5, something like that. So you kind of have to do the math of what 6.5 million times that number is, the all-time low, and then kind of even more. But it can do numbers that we never thought possible. And I hear some people saying, like from in the very beginning, a lot of the Hexagons heard that, since Hex has such a large supply, it'll never have this kind of market cap. It'll never get to this kind of price. But just because it has a big supply doesn't mean that you can actually buy or sell all of that. Doesn't mean that it's actually available. Just like with Bitcoin, right? 1 million Bitcoin will most likely never be available because Satoshi has it, and they've literally never moved them. So I think it can go very high. It can go to, I think we can see $1 sooner than we think. And then that kind of psychological number can push us to $10, $100, et cetera. I mean, once again, Bitcoin used to be a penny and went up to $65,000. Hex can go up to numbers that people never really thought were possible. And it's all about that liquidity pool as well. It's got the minimum viable liquidity where you can obviously see people that are selling and they're able to get out if they want to and realize gains. But it's also a certain liquidity where if someone does a huge market order, as we saw in April of 2020, the Godwill that bought $10,000 worth of Ethereum in one transaction, you can see the price just spike up to 2x, 3x because of the way that liquidity actually works and because of the way the automated market maker works. Jesse, bought the dip and finished my 15-year staking ladder. That's awesome. That's really cool. Congrats. I think people really should look into the staking ladder itself. That way you kind of have a consistent stream of income, or at least the stakes that are ending that you can choose to either realize or push out into the future, but at least some sort of consistency. Because if you're doing everything for a super long time, you most likely are going to be a lot more tempted to do something that might not be the most beneficial to you, as in ending early or trying to sell when you do get to that 50% of the stake. Big Boy says, I face a dilemma whether to stake or keep liquid with my recent purchase. I would like to be able to swap for Pulse once it goes live, as I missed the sacrifice phase. Yeah, I mean, sounds like you kind of answered your own question when it comes to that. I'm okay with being wrong. Hey, me too. You have to be able to realize all sides of the, there's always two sides to a coin. and you have to be able to realize the opposite side, and to be able to admit when, hey, as Richard said, if it passes at 65,000, then hey, now Bitcoin's doing something it's never done before. We need to update the worldview and kind of prepare ourselves for this new paradigm. So that's something a lot of successful people do, because otherwise you're just going to stay in your own thinking, the old way of thinking, and not be able to realize the new stuff going on. Anything less than 1 million X is fun. Totally. There is no ceiling. Yeah, hard to imagine sometimes. It really is true. I mean, I think it's like in the US and China alone, it's like $7.2 trillion within CDs, something like that. But there's just so much money out there in the world, and a lot of it might be dormant capital or in investments that maybe make 3 to 5%, stuff like that. And when you're in something that's like crypto, where you have your own possession, no counterparties, no off switches, things like that, eventually people, as we start to get more viral and get more people into Hex in numbers, you'll see kind of like a hockey stick and like a huge parabola effect. Davis says, I bought what I thought was the dip noon Friday Pacific time at 29 cents. Hey, that's awesome, man. Eesh, this is a tough question. Hex bull run. I mean, we've already seen the actual share rate itself go up super high. Now it's like past 19,000 Hex for a T-share. What's your prediction for the T-share rate end of year 2022? That's really tough. I mean, I would think over $100,000 at like a very conservative number. I try to catch as many streams as possible, but there seems to be more and more. It's true. Yeah, there's a lot of new Hexicans and people that are presenting on Pulse that I've never seen before. And I think like Crypto Heartbeat is one of them. There's a handful of other ones that I should make a video on and link people to, because the more perspectives and the more people's opinions you can get on something, in my opinion, the better. Human Hex Trafficker. How's it going? What up, fam? Let's see here. So Gifford Ware says, what do you think will be the top gas guzzlers on PulseChain? That's a good question. That really is a good question. I mean, we know obviously Pulse is going to, it's going to have more of a scale than say Ethereum. I mean, that's a good question. I think the efficiency of the NFTs might be something to look at. We obviously see that with the etherscan.io / like gas tracker, you can see that usually it is OpenSea or the NFTs that are using a majority of the network. And maybe I can take a look into that as well. / gas tracker. So I don't know. My guess just off of firsthand is maybe the NFTs, because it's that way with Ethereum. Even though it's more scalable, it might have a similar reaction as far as the actual percentage of gas that it's taking. But I really don't know. I haven't actually thought of that question before. But yeah, when we scroll down here, we can see that, let's see. So yeah, it's so the percentage of use in the past 24 hours is nearly 12%. OpenSea, I think that's where they do a lot of the actual NFTs and things like that. So pretty sure that's the most expensive thing, kind of clogging up the ETH network. That's the only prediction that I could kind of make. Okay, cool. Thank you, Wrecked Plebs, for all that lovely free hacks. Pulse will be out in January, it looks like. Let's scroll back up a little bit here. We'll miss out the bull markets. I mean, Hex launched in a bear market, right? I remember Ethereum was like 80. I think the cheapest Ethereum was like $89, something like that. And the cost for the AA and Hex would have got you like 1 point something million Hex for that one Ethereum that was $89, $110. So I don't think it really matters whether it's in a bear market, bull market. I think it's just the actual network itself that Richard wants to make sure has enough of the kinks, fixed so they can actually launch it. Because if you have something that's got a demand, especially the largest airdrop people have ever seen, that alone is going to spike the adoption and spike the actual usage of the network pretty heavily. So it's an interesting point. Okay, yeah, touche. Three sides to a coin: the faces and the edge. Appreciate that. Something to consider. That's good advice. Let's see. Earlier this year, there was less people streaming. Now there's more streams coming out, and they get longer. There's only 24 hours in a day. Totally. And if you type in what is it, like hexradio.app, or if you just type in like Hex Radio app in YouTube, it's actually not even Hex, it's just PulseChain com. It's the t.me/PulseChain com audio telegram call. But you can see that that's nearly 24/7 as well. And the person that's running that, he's constantly making some changes to it. I know recently there's like a UTC timestamp. So if you ever have a clip that you thought was prominent, you can take a screenshot and do the clip yourself or send it to someone that can do that. So I've got someone that actually sent me a clip earlier today that I'll be making a clip of later. Good morning, all. Mrs. Hexquisite. Hey, how's it going? I know it's pretty cool how many people around the world we have. I know she got her first piece of Hex merch the other day, I believe. I'll try and see if I can find it, because there's actually a shirt that I haven't seen ever. So yeah, I'll try to find that in just a second here. Let's see, what else do we have here? P-Hex will be on Pulse, and Hex did well on the last bear market. I agree. Yeah, 24/7. Yeah, it pretty much is that way already. I definitely agree. It's not what you know, it's who you learn from. Yeah, I would second that for sure. A lot of the people, myself included, that have learned from Richard Hart, you might not you can kind of have like a similar comprehension or like a similar effect the way that he does presenting it when you can not reciprocate, but when you can kind of present that information as well the way that he does. So you're pretty much presenting it the way that Richard does, and it kind of has a similar effect if you can kind of get that pitch down. Yeah, so Mrs. Hexquisite, it's right here. So yeah, this is her new Hex shirt. She says, I got a cute Hex t-shirt the other day. Yes, it's almost Halloween. And that's it right there. Oh yeah, and then actually once again, so you can see, as I mentioned, Etsy is a website where you can have individual store owners and you can buy that from as well. So she's got the link there for anyone that wants to go check it out. You can just follow that. Okay, so we'll stop sharing there. You need to retaliate against Pulse Doge. Yeah, I don't know. I remember you saying that. That's pretty funny. It doesn't matter if it goes up or down in the short term. It's a win either way. Totally agree. Well, and the other thing is too is like it's supposed to be like a long-term savings account, high interest blockchain CD. And if you think of the traditional world with, say, a 401k or say like your retirement accounts, generally you don't realize those and you don't actually get those until you mature to a certain age. And so it's not like people are looking at that every single day and are bummed out that their 401k went down 1%, 2%. It's the amount in the future that they finally realize that they, actually take the profit and take the price. So yeah, the short-term games will always happen. Tether tards as usual, swapping back and forth in and out of positions. Yeah, I guess they got fined recently the other day. They've got some interesting things always going on. Hey, what's up, Big Pep? How's it going, man? Big Pep, obviously everyone knows who he is, but if you don't, go check him out. He had a really good stream the other day. Always does a great Saturday morning stream, and I always like tuning into those. So he's quite the voice of reason. And once again, it's nice to be able to have so many people that, I like Big Pep a lot because not only does he, just talk about Hex, but also the news events that are going on and how some of the things in the traditional finance market can affect the crypto market. And the more opinions you can hear, the better, and the more that you can kind of hone what your own thoughts are on the market. Twitch is better than YouTube. Let's see. My very first stake ends December 1st. Awesome, Jerry. Yeah, one thing I want to, and maybe I'll pull it up here in the background, but one thing I want people to consider is, let's see, Hexbot Vision. So one thing I want people to consider is when you are doing a stake, you should look at this resource I'm about to share with you. It's a front end for like on-chain, blockchain data that Hex has with where the actual stakes are ending that Firebun made. So let me share it right now. But the reason I say this is important, and shout out to you, Ross, for being in the chat too. But the reason I say this is important is because when you're ending your stake, you might not want to do it when everyone else is doing it because it's realizing more supply and it's possibly an opportunity for people to sell. So if you're going to sell, you want to get maybe the max amount on your money, and you don't want to be selling when everyone else is selling because that's just going to cause like a bigger cascade. So we can see December, things like that kind of towards the end of the year really are a heavy position where people are ending their stakes. And it's just something interesting to look at because you can see where the actual future supply is going to be realized. And you can just see like right here, February 15th of 2030, people are kind of piling on top of each other. And most likely this is going to be a big sell event or big realization of profits event, as opposed to maybe putting your stake where the candles are lower and where the supply is lower. You might get a better deal when it comes to realizing some gains. So something I wanted to mention there as well. Tarnweek, I'm the only guy in the Twitch stream at the moment. Shout out to you. Ross Hex. The Pulse Telegram chat is the old who's who of who cares. Alrighty. Let's see. Hope you're having a great day. Awesome. Hex Monkey says, if gas fees are lower once PulseChain, does that mean that validators will get less bucks on the job? Who gets paid these ways? Yeah, so yeah, it goes out to, since it's delegated proof of stake, yeah, the miners, the actual validators are the ones earning those. And then, based on whatever numbers they decide or however it gets distributed, they kind of have like a different payout ratio that you would get delegating your your Pulse to a different validator versus another one. They're all going to pay a little bit different, most likely. So yeah, it's going to be like a full-time job for those that actually have it. And we'll kind of see how that pays out. I'm curious. Goodbye to all the ex-hexicans. See you at a higher price. Yeah, once again, a good reason to consider staking. You're incentivizing yourself every single day and paying yourself every day for just delaying that gratification. Hex has more streams than all the other streams in crypto combined. Yeah, and it has the most like honesty. If you look at people, well, I'm not going to name names, but if you look at people in some of the other cryptocurrencies or the mainstream like influencers, etc., a lot of the things that they're recommending in the description link, whether it's like a Bybit trading link or this, this kind of yield farming, things like this, a lot of them are getting a kickback, like a referral fee, and it's kind of incentivized to benefit them. And usually it comes at the cost of their users getting wrecked. And in Hex, you don't see many people that are selling or that are trying to like take advantage of the hexicans themselves. You see a lot of people that are already retired and still spending a whole bunch of time, and just a lot of people that are trying to give back that same opportunity to new people. So correct me if I'm wrong. The OA, the last day of the sacrifice, bought more. So not bought more, but sacrificed, right? They sacrificed more than 90% of Pulse. Means for us sacrificers in scale have hardly any Pulse for sale. Yeah. I mean, that's how that works. That's how Hex works as well. For those that don't know, the big payday itself, there was this huge payout. And then, yeah, like the day before, the very last day you could qualify, the origin address had staked a whole bunch and, qualified for a lot of that payout. And what that does is it allows for people that were already going to trade and already going to sell and dump the price. It allows them to wreck the price less. And it allows people that are whales that don't need to sell and that actually are benevolent and, help the product and the price go up in the future, it allows them to, they don't have to sell, right? They've already got a lot of money, but they're kind of pushing up the price. They're not actually part of the few that are selling and causing these spikes down and up. So yeah, you look at anything in the traditional stocks, right? Bezos, Bill Gates, not Amazon, but you look at Apple. There's a lot of financial centralization when it comes to the ownership of the stocks. And if you look at something like the De Beers, the diamonds, there's some analogies there that are similar to how Hex and Pulse are structured. And a lot of people, once again, they fear that someone's going to just sell on their heads. But it's like, why would you cut off your nose to spite your face? It's something that usually is a fear that's kind of unjust, and it's not actually proven until it happens. And if it hasn't happened in 2 years, and you saw with Bitcoin, right? Satoshi owns 1 million Bitcoin. Well, he could dump on everyone's head. Yeah, but he didn't, and it hasn't happened in 11 years. So at what point does that fear become not a reality to really consider? Like, what's the opposite of that? What's the opposite of one person dumping on your head, or one entity, one address dumping? Well, the opposite is them not dumping, them kind of keeping the price up, and then gaining more adoption because the price is going up, because they're not selling everything. So there's always two sides, once again, or three sides, I guess, to a coin. So consider it all. Just log in late to the Hex party. Yeah, don't apologize at all. Thanks for being here. The early Hex DLive days were awesome. I agree. I'm still streaming there, but I haven't actually logged in there for a very, very long time. Knowing is half the battle. Being able to update your worldview must be the other half. I totally agree. Yeah, Richard did that with Ethereum. Didn't update his worldview kind of as it was changing. Missed out on some gains. And then for how long he had held Bitcoin, all of those years, the people that were early Ethereum owners did way better than Richard. And obviously that made him mad. And he's like, okay, instead of getting mad and instead of doubling down on being oblivious, he updated the worldview. So definitely something that a lot of successful people, as you mentioned, do. DLive times were wild. They totally were. Yeah, they totally were. Hello, Wealth. I love that name, by the way. Hey, Brian. Pulse Doge says, will your content be Hex-based or broadly Pulse-based from now on? So what it comes down to, because I've had some considerations in the past, I don't like to speak of things unless I really know them, and things that are, tried and true, and things that have a history. So I know a handful of people that are, doing different announcements or doing different videos on other things, whether it's built on Pulse or how it can benefit this and that. But for me, I'm kind of just sticking to what I know currently. That was one of the reasons when I was in Litecoin and Ethereum and Bitcoin in 2017. That was one of the reasons why I never made videos on that, because I never felt too comfortable. So right now I'm just sticking with what I know. And, I know there's other people like Motley and some of those other guys have already kind of planned on doing a separate YouTube channel for Pulse projects. But for me, I'm just sticking to what I know and, learning more as it goes on. But I'd rather stick with the more conservative route, especially when it comes to my reputation and just informing people. Because everyone can do their own research, Daniel, I'm a new Hexican, old poor Mexican from New Mexico. I have a minimum paying job. I plan on retiring with Ethereum Hex and with PulseChain Hex within 5 years. I'm not worried. I'm buying the dip. That's awesome. Yeah, how many people that had the $100 that saw it to $1 million, if you bought the bottom, sold the top, how many of the people thought it could ever go that high, You can buy 1 million for $100. RZ1 says, yep, good night, Pulse Doge. Take it easy. Welcome aboard, all the new Hexicans. So yeah, RZ1 says, I got a letter in the mail months ago about Hex and Pulse. That's what made me jump into the sacrifice phase. Who in the world sent that letter out? I'm glad they did. Yeah, I mean, nobody knows, right? I've heard people speculate that it's Richard, but once again, there's a difference between blindly pointing a finger and then, actually having evidence. So nobody has any evidence of who sent the actual letters, but whoever did was a very smart person because they took the ledger data. They had a huge information leak, right? Phone numbers, addresses, emails, names, and use that as a marketing tool to reach out to people about Hex and PulseChain. So I think that's absolutely amazing. Yeah, nobody knows exactly. I mean, once again, people speculate that it's Richard, whatever, but there's no expectations or things like that because you see a lot of people that are doing their own marketing campaigns. I mean, I saw the other day on RG3's Twitter of someone that had a huge Hex banner that was flying over whatever state that they were in. Yeah, the Hex banner is in the sky. Exactly. That was really cool. And same thing, right? In Vegas, there was a lot of people handing out Hex stickers. Just look at what the Crypto Sparbu team and freedomtv.info is doing. They're doing their own marketing. It's not like Richard's paying them or anything like that. So a lot of it does come from the community, grassroots, and I like it that way. It's more decentralized. Yeah, so I guess if anyone has any more questions, feel free to ask them now. Christopher Eagle says, when we get the copies of eHex that are staked, are they going to be pHex that are staked or pHex that are liquid that we can swap for Pulse? So if you have Hex staked now currently, and the snapshot, the fork of the block height for Pulse happens, well, then it'll be staked Hex on PulseChain. So if it's staked, it'll be staked. If it's liquid, it'll be liquid pretty much. And same thing with the actual, the share rate, right? The share rate gets that snapshot of the block height for the hard fork. All of that system state then and before gets copied over. So whatever the 19,000 something Hex per trillion shares will get copied over too. It doesn't just start off at 0. And it never even started off at 0 in the first place. It started off at 10,000. So that's something to consider. Given there's only 100 million Hex on the market, if it goes down heaps, that will be bought up in a second. It's true. I'll just keep buying. Heart is to help other people. I will post one day when I can buy all the cars at a dealership and give them away for free. That's awesome. That's really cool. All right, you too, Danny. Yeah, you too, man. We'll catch up soon, okay? Looking forward to our stream. Hex Monkey says, where is Richard Hart right now? Is he still in Europe? I believe he is, right? He had mentioned that he wants to do a what's he want to do? I think a London meetup possibly December 2nd, which is pretty cool. So I think it might be travel depending, or I don't know what the official things are with that, but yeah, Richard had mentioned that he wants to do a circle back to Estonia and then go off to wherever he goes off to. That is the first person I've seen who is actually happy about receiving a letter notifying them about the greatest crypto asset. I agree. A lot of people weren't too happy about that. And it's little do you realize all of the data that people can collect on you and that's actually out there. People just never took it to their advantage to actually market to those people. Jerry Oaksmith says, what if they hack the IRS and they send a letter to all the people receiving a check? Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's the outbound messaging that's key, right? Because someone that bought in that's maybe done buying, that's great, but now they're done buying. So you always got to get new people in and let other people kind of discover it as it goes on. I received a letter too. Yeah, I would love to have received that. I didn't, but that also means my information wasn't collected too. So that's always good. No problem, Chris. I look at the gains and imagine what I can use it for. Then I get anxiety about losing Hex. I know what you mean. Zooted on Hextasy. That's a nice name. I would love to give away to others in need. I feel that's my calling, but just never had the means. Hopefully one day. Totally, right? To be able to give to other people, your cup kind of has to overflow in the first place. And that actually brings me to another good point that another quote that Richard Hart had done. I'll see if I can find it in just a second here. But yeah, I mean, I've always been the same way, right? Tried to give back to others when I had stuff to give in whatever means. But you can't give something that you don't have. Okay, 1 second here. I think I found the quote. Okay. Mr. Locomont, what's up, Bran? Inquiry? I didn't see your question. Maybe ask it again. The chat sometimes doesn't get every question answered. Oh yeah, cool. Shout out to you, middle class. I know he's on the like the Hex Australian or the Hex Asians late show. So go check him out. Cheers to you, man. I was breached. The mindset is key. It's easy to buy a car, but to change your mindset, that's hard. Oh yeah, middle class. Just put your text in there, and I'll definitely read it. That's not a quote by Richard Hart. The Bible had 1900 years. No, it wasn't that one specifically. It was 1 second. It was another one that Crypto Sparbu had posted, and Richard retweeted, but I couldn't find it right off that. I'll see if I can find it a little bit later. But yeah, you're definitely right. Obviously, he wasn't the specific person that came up with that phrase. Cool. So we'll ignore that for now. Okay, so that was his post. Shout out to you, Hex Live. Okay, so this person says, what happens if the origin address stakes it all Quattro Cinco and immediately end stakes? I'm just bored, waiting for the up and to the right movement. Well, I mean, on emergency end stakes, they get 50% of the, of the actual fee itself, and then the other fee gets distributed amongst all the stakers that aren't the OA based on their shares. So yeah, it'd kind of be a redistribution and some penalty as well. Yeah, yep, exactly. Ledger had the leak. Okay, yeah, so I mean, that's pretty much it. Oh yeah, middle class says, I love your work, Bran. I was never able to catch any of your live stream. Finally made it. Awesome. Man, shout out to you. Once again, he's part of the Hex Aussies from Down Under, and he's part of the Hex Asians as well. Go check out that show. It's really awesome. Speed Reader says, man, love you, Bran. Awesome. Love you guys too. I was getting cell phone text to send Bitcoin to Russia. Yeah, there's a lot of spam and stuff out there. Best thing is to just screenshot it and block it, and then that way you have the data saved if you ever need to pull it up again. But that way they're not going to keep messaging you. And same thing with crypto. Have your Telegram settings to where people can just add you to groups randomly, and have it to where people can't just DM you randomly, because a lot of times they have Google document links, or they try to pose as MetaMask support, and then they end up socially engineering people to think and actually give away their seeds willingly. Yeah, turtles only. I definitely agree. Yeah, for people that have lots of shares, it's true, right? It's a fun kind of fantasy to think about, but I mean, the reality that I think of is, once again, we've got less than 10% staking, and the 90% that's not staked that the OA could. That's kind of like that payment that you consider with the end stake analogy. So for us having this kind of staking percentage, it really allows the people right now to have a huge payout, because they might, who knows, they might increase the staking percentage in the future, as we've seen with Big Payday, or as we saw when Hex first came out. It had a huge staking percentage, and it used to be one Hex. Yeah, 1 Hex per T-share, stuff like that. Yeah, David, I totally know what you mean, man. I'm about to wrap up too. He says, gotta shoot, time for bed in the UK. Great chat, my man. Awesome, thanks to you. Thanks for your shout out. Take care, everyone. Dips are when Hex is getting exchanged from those who have to those, those who don't have it. Okay, yeah. From those that have it to those that don't. I know what you mean. The exact mechanic is clear. It was a daydreaming scenario to brainstorm how this will affect the price. No, yeah, I totally know what you mean. I think that that's a very good scenario, and I definitely wasn't crap talking it. El Hexadeni, how's it going, man? Shout out to you. Good to see you all. Cool, yeah, so I'm about to end the stream. If anyone has any last minute question, I'll try and answer it. But other than that, I got a post-stream video that myself and T-Money, Tony Salazar, will be doing. And he did one recently with Casey, who's another Hexican, and that's on their channel. And you'll see mine within a couple of days as well. It gives the OA options in the future. It totally does. I don't think it'll stay this way forever. Brandon is possibly the best Hex Pulse YouTuber. Yeah, I mean, that's all, to each his own. I appreciate the compliment. I mean, the beautiful thing is we do have a lot of people that are presenting on other projects or things being built on top of Pulse, or, presenting on Pulse and Hex, and everyone's kind of got their own cup of tea that they prefer, or that they might, sit down and enjoy more. So the abundance of people that we have is nice for people to have options, right? It's not just one person to choose from. It's many different styles, and, different people relate to others. Okay, cool. I feel you, Time Week. Okay, cool. Yeah, so that was pretty much, this will be the last question here. And shout out to you, Speed Reader. But so Inquiry Partner says, I'm trying to understand the whole concept of getting the same Hex token on Pulse. So it's just a smart contract that gets copied over. Hex is complete, it's immutable. The smart contract is X amount of lines of code, and that just literally gets copied over to PulseChain, which will be faster, cheaper. He says, I am sure it is not double the coins from Ethereum in Pulse. So what are my options? Do I use or the other? So if you have an ERC20, right, which is what Hex is, that's going to get copied over double, who knows what the value is going to be? No one knows what the value, but at least you're going to get double your coins. And then, yeah, if you have Ethereum, if you have one Ethereum, you'll have one Pulse as far as the actual copy over. So that's probably not the best value compared to the actual dilution of Pulse to Ethereum. So it might make sense to have an ERC20 that's not Ethereum and something else. Kareem said he'll EES a fat stake by 2036 if the price is insane as people project. Awesome. Yeah, Kareem is great. He's quite the giver. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I know we have a inquiry. Yeah, I think I already answered your questions. Yeah, it's double the coins. It's the same exact contract. It's just two different blockchains, two different networks, two different fees, right? Pulse is going to be a lot cheaper to interact with than, say, Ethereum Hex. So yeah, that's the last question. Appreciate everyone for tuning in. We'll do the outro. Once again, tune in for the, in 2 or 3 days, maybe myself and T-Money, I'll post that actual link. But other than that, we'll see everyone on the next stream. Hopefully we can all be there for nights. I know Motley and some of the other guys have been pretty busy, but it sounds like next week we should be able to do it. So if they can't make it, I'll do a solo stream. All right, guys, peace.
Be sure to hit that subscribe button. Be sure to like, be sure to share, be sure to comment. Say hey. Say hey. Say hey. Say hey. Say hey. Stake that. motherfucking jackpot. We still jackpot, bitch!
Thank you, Richard, for creating and founding the most amazing and disruptive financial technology cryptocurrency ever. Thank you, sir. And nice streams,